Alright everybody, this is Subtac and I have gone live. This is to be a test. And it is also so you can ask me questions, ask me anything, because I have absolutely nothing to talk about. And if somebody doesn't come and watch, I will still have absolutely nothing to talk about. So we're going to just kind of hang out here a little bit and see if someone shows up and wants to ask some questions. In the meantime, I gotta say I'm a little getting a little tired of this whole Google ad stuff, and it's really an assault on our free speech, because with all their guidelines, they're so vague that you could just pull anybody out and say, well, this goes against our guidelines. And it'd be hard to argue that it didn't, because they're so vague. And it's really just an attempt to stifle free speech, to stifle the other side, to stifle conflicting opinions. And especially after this deal with the employee that did the forum post about allowing left and right to talk, and had a lot of stuff about pay for women and stuff like that in there. It's obvious that there is a concerted effort to stifle opinions that you don't like. So anyway, I am getting kind of tired of that, but that's really not the point of my live stream here. I want to test this out, make sure that the strings work good, since I've moved, and here we are in my basement, my underground bunker, because I'm a prepper. That's what you need to call it, right? Robert Miller, thank you very much. It is a lot of work, but I enjoy doing it. That's why I keep doing it. So Robert, if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them, as long as I can. But yeah, like I said, I'm in the basement here. It's had some hard rains, and we were kind of concerned that it might flood in here, because just as we were moving in a couple weeks back, it rained really hard and a bunch of water came in the floor here. But the problem with that was that there's a spout from the gutter that comes down and goes underground and shoots out in the yard somewhere, and somebody had filled that hole, and so when it rained, all the water came back up right to the side of the house and went down into the floor. I'm hoping that was the major problem. We've fixed that issue. I've had a couple other hard rains, no water. We did notice that the gutters are in really bad shape. Instead of taking the water and sending them down to the outlets, it's just running over the side. In a couple spots, it's actually coming down as a stream between the eave and the gutter. So they are going to be working on that, and they're also going to work on the outside and give me a nice patio on the door that goes out. This is a basement. It's under the house, but the house is on this kind of side of a hill, so actually the section we're in, that I'm sitting in right now, is actually underground, but just back behind me where the door is at is kind of where it comes down, and then there's a door. So, and then on the other side is a garage. Tanner, what's up? How's it going? It's going great. E-Biker Coyote, the link that was put out earlier goes to a dead page. I had to back out and come over here to find you. That is a weird thing, because I do a schedule. When you go to the set it up, you schedule it, and it might be the stream key is the wrong key, and it just goes to another thing. I'll have to check that out next time. But that's one of these tests. I've got moved and going back to doing this live, so that's part of it. We're testing to see how well the stream works. If at any point it starts coughing or breaking up or stuttering, let me know. So far it's showing a good health on the bar there. Savage Survival, love you, brother. Just got here. Love you too, man. If you got any questions, I'm ready to answer them. Otherwise, I'm just going to sit here and babble for a little bit. Any news on how long till you get your permanent house and start that prepping in overdrive? Okay. We, obviously this is a rental. Friday we go down or actually it's back up and do the closing. We will, of course, the house is just going to be automatically paid off. And then the rest of it is going to pay off a bunch of other things that just to get out of the way. So we're going to be debt free, but we will not have a down payment. But being debt free, it will not take us long to have a down payment for another place. And I believe that is probably a very wise decision. The rent here is really good, and especially for this area, especially for any area I've seen. And above me is 3 bedrooms, a big living room, big kitchen, the whole bit. So it's really nice, especially for just the two of us. But as far as that goes, we're looking at maybe 2 years at the most, just to get everything, have a really big down payment so that we can make it happen. Let's see here. Robert, do you know how much about VPNs? I know enough about VPNs to sign into this computer behind me is my work computer, and that's how I communicate. It's through a VPN. And I know enough to pull up the online passkey, type it in, and then tell it to connect. But as far as setting them up, I don't know. Let's see. Love videos. Thank you, Blake. Josh says, when's the next video on the off-grid site? I was hoping I would have been out there this weekend, but I'm still trying to put this stuff together here, and we were out looking at some other things, so I didn't have a chance to get out there. Like I said, Friday I go back up and do the closing. I'm hoping that weekend will be clear for me to go out, and since I'm closer, I'll be doing that a lot more often, and it might get to the point where I'll have so much video from out there that's probably almost all that will be coming across Subtac. Biker Cody, I'm going to be starting my bug up channel. Any good advice? I'm assuming that is bug out channel or bug up chalet. Any good advice? Bug out chalet. Well, I'm trying to make sure I understand if you're talking about a place or a channel. I know sometimes typing gets weird responses especially if you're typing in from mobile. So clarify that for me and I'll answer the question. Savage Survival, thanks for responding and being so personal, and being debt free is everything. Yes, I do agree, and even though it hasn't actually happened yet, I already feel the load off my shoulders. What next here? Well, Biker Coyote, let's say, can you give a shout out to El Paso, Texas? Certainly, El Paso, Texas. Hello. Shout out. What would you like me to say? What's the joke about the chalet? I mean, a bug out. Not a joke. I just wasn't sure if it was if you were talking about a place or if the whatever you typed on messed up the spelling and said chalet instead of channel or something. Anyways, any good advice? Yeah, just do what you like and be open, be yourself, because if you don't be yourself, people will see that and move away quickly. So just be honest about stuff that you're doing, show it honestly, have fun with it, and that way you will continue to be excited about doing it. You will continue to have the passion to do it, and just take your time, and if you can't afford to do something at the moment, just be honest about that and say, I'm going to try to get to it, and that will come through. People will enjoy watching that. Just kind of farmhouse. Yes, that's why I wanted to make sure about how you were talking, what you were trying to say. Low and with wide eaves, common in alpine regions. Yes. Bug out cabin. Yep, that's what I meant. I wanted you to clarify because of the you never know what that stuff does. So if you're going to do a bug out cabin, first of all, I'm assuming you will have a place to do it at, having your own property, and then depending on how much money you have. Hey Daniel, Mr. Daniel is probably one of the most commenting individuals. I think every video I put out, he sends me a comment, and a very positive one at that. Anyway, like I was saying, if you've already got the property in place, and if you got the money to do something all at once, that's great. Get your plan and make it happen. The only thing I would be careful about is how many people you let know what you're doing, and the plans of it. So if you're going to do it by yourself, that's the way to go. A lot of people don't like to do it by themselves. They want to call out people to do it for them. So make sure you can trust those that are doing it for you. And then if you don't have the money to do it all at once, do it like I do, whereas obviously I have, as my income comes in, you pay my bills, save a little bit, and then any extra money that I got is what goes to the cabin and stuff out there. And I budget that along, plan it a little bit. A lot of the plans are in my head, but that way I know what I need. And I'm sitting here, I haven't been out there for, I don't know, a couple of months, but I know what state it's in, where it's at, and what I need to do next. So you'll have to excuse me, it seems like the mosquitoes like to get in here somehow. I'm gonna have to figure that out. But anyway, I know what needs to happen next. I know what I have out there to do it, and I know what I need to get to do it. So it's just depending on what's going to work best for you, I guess. Was prepping easy to talk to your family about? Yeah. Sometimes they're supportive. They're not really into it as I am, but they're supportive and let me do it. Sometimes when I talk about things, some of them their eyes will glaze over, like, okay, yeah, and they'll be, yeah, but they understand. So when I'm canning stuff or whatever I'm doing, they understand it, and they're supportive. If I need help, I'll get help too. So it just depends on your family, really. How supportive is your family towards you. And a lot of times that stems to as how supportive you are to them, that they will reciprocate in kind. But sometimes when I start talking, technical stuff, the eyes glaze over, and it's like, okay, I support you, but I have no idea what you're talking about. A lot of that comes into reasons why I prep. You start trying to explain why you think this might happen or that could happen, and people still live in their normalcy, with their normalcy bias. So something that's out of that norm, they tend not to want to, if it's, they'll tend not to really think about it, to believe it or whatever, if it's going to take away from what they're thinking about, what they're focused on, if that makes sense. What else we got here? So e-biker coyote, did I answer your question? Do you have anything else on that you would like to know or understand? How about this stream? Is it breaking up at all? That's what I was really concerned about, because when we moved here, I still got a really good connection, but I was afraid that it might get lost a little bit because of the different location. Danielle, how's your morale when it doesn't go as fast? And I'm assuming you're talking about working on the cabin, working out there on the land. Thank you, Hammer Swinger. When it doesn't go as fast, it's hard to say, because the process of it, I really enjoy doing, going out there and working on it. I would obviously like to have had it done. I mean, I thought when I first started it, I thought by this time it would already be done. But, you know, as time goes on, things come up, set you back. Obviously, some of you may remember back a couple years back when the place was looted, and that slowed me down a little bit. But on the same note, it made me think about things where actually I've able to streamline some of the way I do work out there, because of having to think through the problem of being able to work without power. Because one of the big things that they took was my generator, and of course we've been through that. You know, people got on me, well, why'd you leave it out there? And I said, well, it had been a long time since anybody was out there, and I've never seen any, you know, foot traffic out there or anything. But I think what happened was, I don't want to point a finger at anybody, but I kind of think I know who took it. And it's just an individual that lives in that area that that property used to be part of a larger ranch, and a guy owned that ranch, and the guy's wife was a sister to this guy I'm thinking of. Well, she died a while back, and then when the husband finally died, the ranch was sold, auctioned off. The property was auctioned off separately. The guy that bought the ranch went ahead and bought the property so that people wouldn't be you know, buying it and building houses on it or whatever. Well, some big time guy from Florida wanted to buy that ranch, and the guy wouldn't sell, and finally the guy just offered him so much money that it would be stupid to not take it. So once he did that, he had this piece of land that I got, so he went ahead and put it on the market. Long story, trying to make it shorter. As I first started out there working, I had this tent up front where I was staying, and the truck would be parked, you know, up off the road enough, but you could still be seen. And a fellow come driving by there one day and stopped and started talking to me, and he was the brother to the woman that had at one time owned that property. And he, like many others, use that particular part of that county road. I mean, it's off the beaten path and everything, but they like to drink and drive, so he takes that route because, you know, they're locals and they understand that route. So he takes that route back into the town at 6 miles off where he lives. That way he can drink. And as he'd stop there every once in a while and talk to me, I got to just realizing that this guy's kind of an old drunk. And I'm almost thinking that maybe he thought, one day he'd go back there and see what he could find. So anyway, I think I got off track of what we were talking about as far as how fast it goes, or my morale as far as getting it done. But the point was that I would like to have it done quicker than it is. On the same note, I really like the process of doing it, you know, going out there and cutting and hammering, and as I go I can see it happen, so I can step back and see the progress. So I guess if I whipped it out really quick, I'd have to go build something else. Actually, there's a lot more stuff I'm going to do out there, so you know, weigh it, right? All right. Thank you, Jody. How are you doing? Okay, e-biker says, I have the land. I've designed a small 16 by 20 cabin, and I started purchasing the material and moving it to the site. I have kept everything secret as much as I can. My background is commercial construction. Well, man, you got it made. You know, just like I say, if you want to wait till you have everything out there, just wait till you get out there and then boom, do it. Yeah, you got it made. 16 by 20. Mine is 16 by 12 or 18 by 16 by 12. So yours is going to be a little bit bigger, but mine's going to have half of it is going to have a kind of a second floor, like a loft. And I don't know if you've seen in some of the videos, I think I've talked about it. And at this point, it's got the floor for the loft, and then the other half I've got just a temporary flooring on there so that I can work. Rachel is online. How are you doing? Her and Brian were my neighbors in Laverne. Best neighbors in the world. Sorry, Rachel. It says she's missing half of this. I don't know if it could be the phone. Everybody else is saying I've got a good stream. And I am hardwired into the modem with my cable connection out. So maybe you're in an area where you're coming in and out of having a connection. Jody, keeping on. Enjoy your videos and glad I caught the live stream. Yes, I'm glad when people come to see me, you know, go on and babble. But this is a Ask Me Anything, so ask away and I'll see if I can answer it. Good to see you on, Rachel. Yeah, okay. But, you know, you biker, like I was saying, if you like doing the building, I would just start now and just do it, you know, enjoy that process as you do it. I'm going to start, like I said, since I'm closer now and we've got all this taken care of, I'm going to be out there even more often. So it's probably that's going to get done quicker. I've got a lot of the materials for like flooring, and I got the door out there, and I got windows here in the garage. I got to take those out there. I got one out there that for one window, and then I got two more windows that got to go in. And then of course that kind of stuff. I'm still trying to figure out what kind of siding I want on it. And what I mean by that is, do I want to make it kind of look like a rustic cabin? Do I just want to slap regular old siding on there? Do I want to do something that's gonna maybe camouflage it into the woods a little bit better? Jody, am I going to be gardening at the rental or saving up for the permanent home? I probably will do some gardening here. It won't be on as big of a scale as I like to do, just because it's not my place, and you know, digging things up. The guy in rent front says, yeah, go for it, but I still, you know, just want to be careful on the level of what I do. But obviously that's going to happen next year. By the time I would get settled here to do it, now it's going to be too cold. But we'll still be saving up for the permanent place, and then once I get to that one, believe me, I'm going to go nuts on the things that I do there. Meredith says, so you started making videos. Where's a good place to get audio samples, sounds, music, etc.? Glad you asked. It's called Artlist. Let me make sure, and I will show you. Okay, this is right here. The only drawback to this is I think it's $199 a year, so that may be out of your range, but it's got some great music on it, and you can use it over and over again. Once you've got it, it's yours to use, and there's no problems. Another one would be Video Blocks. And they've got good music, but I don't think it's as contemporary or as up to, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. This seems like the stuff that comes off Artlist here is even a lot better. I wonder if I could should give you some samples. Let's see here. Let's see if you can hear this. Let's go take a look at indie. So as soon as I let this play, let me know if you can hear it. Let's start here. Okay, it shows that it's playing. But if I like that, I just hit the cart. Good, good. I can just hit the cart and then it saves it till I'm ready to download them. But they have some really good stuff. But with a good imagination, thanks Meredith, yes it does play good. But with a good imagination, if you just sit and I will set making a video, and I have went through this site and probably pulled over about 50, 60 songs already that are now on my hard drive. And when I go to make a video, I think of, you know, what the video is going to be about, what kind of a mood I think I want. And then I'll just sit there and start listening to the samples, and as soon as I find something that I like, and sometimes it'll be 2 or 3 songs that go on a video to kind of keep it moving and keep it interesting. But and sometimes the song, the tune, will dictate how the video goes, and that's just the artist in me. You know, I'll start working on video and hear a tune, and then all of a sudden it'll take me in a different direction. I don't know if any of you have followed many of my videos, or over the course of time you will see that my style, the way I do things, has changed. When I first started, it was just kind of me showing you what I did, and I talked about it, and obviously I was kind of new to doing YouTube, so I was kind of stilted behind the camera. Then I thought, okay, I need to become less stilted and more fun. So then I started doing things that some people have called what is it, lame attempts at humor. But when I first started, the style that I was doing, I always kind of liked the documentary style. I don't know how to explain it. There's one movie called, a documentary called Indie Games, something like that. It's about these guys that were writing games, and they were doing it. They're not a big company. They're just, you know, guys, you know, in their basement or in their studio or whatever, in their house, you know, spending a couple of years coding out these games, and they followed them through that process to the point where they were actually able to go and show it and get on the Xbox Live or Xbox game indie games thing. And there was a couple different about 3 or 4 different coders that they were following in this particular documentary. But the style that they did and the way they edited it and told the story is just always stuck with me. And so, although I wasn't very good at it when I first started the channel, and I kind of abandoned that to try to be more humorous, which I don't think really came over so well. So I went back to working the other style, but with better editing, better music, the whole bit. So it just depends on the music that you get and how things turn out editing. And yes, somebody said here, yes, Meredith, editing is fun. And yes, I'm starting to enjoy it. Now I have the hang of the software. Which software are you using, might I ask? I am using Premiere Pro, which is in the Adobe suite. When I first started it, I was using iMovie on the Mac because it was free and cool, and I had just discovered it. Now, I had a bunch of old video that I had made, from the 90s and stuff, that was just family videos and so on and so forth, but they're all on tapes. And when I bought the Mac, I discovered the iMovie, and so I thought I wanted to do something with those tapes. YouTube Movie Maker, I have not messed with that, but they all basically work the same, especially if with YouTube, how much editing do you need to do? Some people really go crazy and they're really big into Premiere Pro and some of the other big ones, but if it chops it up and helps you slice it together and add music and those kind of things, it'll work, and it's all you need. But like I was saying, so the first thing I had to do after I had the Mac and I discovered the iMovie, I had to figure out how to get the tapes, the VHS tapes, digitized. So I went and I found a little box called Elgato iTV or something like that. And you could actually plug a VCR or the actual camera into it and play it, and then it would record onto the Mac. So I converted all that stuff over and started playing with iMovie. And at the time, I had only heard of YouTube. Didn't really think much of it. I was too busy, coding and doing all the developing and stuff like that I do. But I remember taking my daughter to a movie, and while we were sitting there waiting for the movie, she grabbed my phone and she was like, and I looked down and she was watching these kids skateboarding and falling and stuff like that, and it was YouTube. I thought, great. So that just kind of stuck in my head a little bit. Well, then I wanted to check out a knife or something one time, and I thought, I had my phone and I texted in like a review or something, and it actually pulled up a YouTube site where this knife was being reviewed, and I think it was Nut and Fancy. And I watched that, and then it just dawned on me, all right, that's what this is all about. Got somebody running around upstairs. That's the only drawback to being under here, is when people are walking back and forth, I can hear them. But anyways, that kind of made the connection for me. So then at that point, I started doing stuff I wanted to put on YouTube. It's intuitive and has some cool capabilities. Credits, all that. Very cool. I'm going to take a look at that just because I'm curious. I haven't actually done it, used it, but I'm kind of curious about it. All right, any more questions? Well, I'm not seeing them. I got a question for you all. Man, that sure is loud up there. Anyway, so I don't know how many of you understand the algorithm for YouTube, what works to get your videos out there more, get the more exposure for them. And part of that algorithm is seeing that you're posting more often. It's called creating an ID. You put up a video or you create a playlist, and it's creating an ID or an asset for YouTube. And if you're doing that, the more often you do that and the more consistent that you do that, the more likely it's going to put your videos out there to be seen. And that's why I was really bummed about the 2 weeks that I kind of lost while doing this moving, because I knew that, because I was trying to do a 3-day-a-week deal. But now that I'm kind of settled in, I'm thinking I want to try to stay on the 3 days, but maybe throw in a few more days and see if I can keep a schedule like that. The only problem with that would be the editing value will go down a little bit, because I mean, I don't have time to edit the way I do on a daily basis. It just doesn't work. At your bug out location, power, solar, and generator. But if those fail, do you have plan B? When solar, if generator runs out of gas and solar breaks and we're done, then we're gonna start living like cavemen. And fire, and maybe we'll. I might, you know what? I might have to devise some contraptions where you can set and pedal and generate electricity or something. Those might make interesting videos. But as far as getting power out there, like you know, a regular power company sitting out there, there are power lines running on the county road, but there is no connections actually to the property. And as long as I don't put a connection there, there's less people knowing that I'm doing anything out there. Ooh, I think I got that one. But like I said, yeah, if we run out of gas and the generator don't run anymore, and then the solar breaks and don't work, we're caveman in it. When actually, for me, to be perfectly honest, because you know, I come from a background of camping and stuff like that, so a generator and the solar are actually luxuries for me. So it's not like I would lose it if that stuff went away. I enjoy, you know, I'm getting older, so maybe it would be a little bit rougher, but candles and campfires work. And if you think about it, you know, what else do you need? I mean, you could think of lots of things you could use, but I mean, like I say, people lived without that for a long time. So, and they had many ways of surviving. It just took more work. Okay, yep, that's probably plan B, is caveman in it. Well, I have seen on this stream, and I'm looking at the health of it, it stayed green. Usually it's green when it's good, and then it starts changing colors to yellow and orange and red, stuff like that. At least from my point here. So it looks like I might have a good stream as far as from this location, which is nice. So maybe I'll start doing more of these and actually have stuff prepared. What do you say there, Biker Coyote? On my land there was once a mobile home, so there's a septic and well. However, there's never was power to the property. The closest place is about half a mile away where my dirt road begins. So I've decided to go solar with the generator backup, and I've already pack rat it 5 100-pound bottles for propane. There you go. 100-pound bottles for propane. There you go. Yeah, propane is is an option, but obviously, if when you're designing these things with the idea that once you actually are forced to go there, there's no way of getting anything else on, those things like propane and solar panels and generators will be good to help you get settled in, so to speak. But just know that if it goes too long, you're going to have to figure out how to survive without it at some point. I think, there's another thing. Maybe I should start gaming too, right? I could just do live game feeds. That way I could just, on my days that I don't upload a nicely edited video, I just have a live stream of games or something. What do you think about that? Call it Subtac Goes video game. And only play survival kind of games. There's an idea. All right, well, it looks like we may not have any more questions. Like I said, it's your chance. Ask me anything. It doesn't have to be prepping related. What do you play? I do play. I like the Fallout games, and the reason for that was because it's such an open world. I've never liked those things where you kind of get stuck on a path, and but I like the Fallout games. And then there was always the Elder Scrolls, which were also an open world, and by the way, from the same video game maker. And then they did the ESO, Elder Scrolls Online, and so those are kind of the three things that I like to play. Years ago, when they first came out with the Xbox, my son had an Xbox, and my nephews came over to the house and they had an Xbox, and they brought a game over and were playing it, and I was watching them playing it, and I thought, that's kind of fun. Looks like it might be kind of fun. And then they went home, and I thought, I'm going to go get that game and I'll play it on my son's Xbox. But I didn't know what the game was, so I just went down where you could rent games, and I started looking at the covers, hoping that I could find the game that I like, or find that game. Well, I found what I thought was that game, and it turned out to be like the original Ghost Recon game. And I took it home and started playing. I realized, well, that's not the game, but it was fun. So I started playing that, and I've always played that. That's, a lot of people are into that Call of Duty and stuff like that, but Ghost Recon was actually the original game of that genre. Kirky81, you could learn how to convert a generator to run off a wood gas fire. Oh yeah, that's something I have thought about. That's an interesting thing. I have thought about that. Have you done some videos on scavenging solar resources and other gear? Not yet, but that's probably stuff that I will be getting into now that I've settled into this move and I can start getting heavy back into it. Fallout, I just go whatever the normal difficulty is. Like I said, because it's an open world, I really enjoy going out there and doing that. And if you're spending most of your time just trying to stay alive, it kind of takes away from it. Yep, great idea, Kirky. No, what? No, Biker Coyote. What have I done? Food reserve. What's your idea quantity you need or you would like to have? Okay, good question. That's going to depend on what you think is going to happen. And some people come into this having a specific thought or a specific thing they think is going to happen. So then you got to figure out, well, how long do you think that's going to last? What do I need to do? My idea is, because you don't know what's going to happen, is to plan for the longest time possible and continue to build your reserves for that, but also learn how to grow your own, find your own, all that kind of stuff. That way, if it goes longer than what your food reserve is, you already know how to provide for yourself. And also, I wouldn't wait until the food reserve, doggone it, those things are all over the place. I wouldn't wait until the food reserve runs out. If something went down and you knew that this was it, from day one, I'd start preparing to take care of yourself. That way, that food reserve you have will take care of you until you get that going correctly. What's your... Hey, so sorry, I didn't know you were live to just a little earlier. Well, hey, latecomers are welcome too. Thanks for showing up. Sorry, it's backwards. Okay, so Skyla it is. Love the rare occasion we see you and your wife and how sweet you are to each other. Yep. 25 years. And never a thought of no regrets. Let's put it that way. It's been awesome. Am I using Faraday cages? I don't have them yet, but I have stuff that I've got together so that I can build some. And also, a lot of it has to go with just figuring out what I'm going to put it in, what I think I'm going to need if something happens. What's your thought on North Korea's situation? I just read a few minutes ago that they could possibly be preparing a new launch because the little fat guy is missing. He's missing. Oh, I haven't even heard that. Oh no, false flags coming in for sure. Yeah, I think somebody's stirring something up somewhere to make something happen is what I think, and it's all about America needs to go down. I'm telling you, we are the last vestige here, and we are struggling for air, and they're just trying everything. And just like this thing over in, what was it, Virginia or whatever here this weekend. I mean, they're calling it all kinds of things about white nationalists. They don't even know what a nationalist is. They're not even defining that correctly. But they say nationalist, and then they show you Nazi flags or something. And a nationalist is just someone who loves their country and wants it to remain their country. But they're bussing in all these Antifa folks, and their whole thing is they're being paid to go and cause problems. And that whole thing was started just by a guy that wanted to get, he called it Unite the Right, which meant let's get together and have a peaceful protest about the fact that they're trying to kill our history. Good or bad, it's our history. We need it to stay, right? And so because he started putting that together, all this Antifa and stuff was bust in and started causing problems. I mean, I could go on forever griping, complaining, but that in North Korea, I don't know if one's an attempt to cover the other or vice versa. Who knows? I mean, your head's on a constant swivel trying to figure out what in the world is going down next, and all the stupidness that's going on comes over that media. Like, I turn on, I have a TV over here, and it's always on the news channel, Fox. But it's not because I trust Fox. It's just because if something goes down big time, it's going to come across. So it's just on mute, and I just see the pictures. But at least that way, if something goes down, it'll come across fairly quick, and I'll know it. Let's see here. Chris, what's your thoughts on North Korea? Okay, and Kirky, as far as survival game, 7 Days to Die is pretty fun. Zombie survival where you try and build base. Every 7 days a horde comes to attack. Is that on any particular platform? 7 Days to Die. I did play Dying Light, the zombie game Dying Light. When I first started it, I wasn't sure I was going to like it, but it actually grew on me. What are your favorite guns to have while you're in the worlds? Which are you talking about, like on Fallout? Clarify that. Well, it is on the main news website. Yeah, like I probably answered that question. Like, it says right now, North Korea threat. Mattis says if missiles fly, it's game on. So yeah, like I said, I haven't been listening to it, and I haven't glanced at it for a while, so I didn't even know anything about that. Will you be? And Skyla says, will you be doing videos on what you are reserving in the Faraday cages? Yep, when I figure out exactly what I think I need to keep. And the problem of it is this North Korea thing, I mean, those guys, from what I understand, they could zap us, and so I am woefully not prepared for that as far as keeping things in a Faraday cage. But if I get the chance to go to it, I will. What is your biggest fear, prepping related? Ooh, that's a good one. Not being done out there if I have to get out there. Now, obviously, I could go out there now and survive through it, but if I could have it done or further along, it'd just be more comfortable once I was there. But with all the stuff I got out there now, even though it's not all together, there's still shelter there, and you know, food. I got water like crazy there, and food, and wouldn't be hard to start growing stuff there now. That has been untouched by farmers, so I can dig down that deep and have black soil, black, very productive soil. I know when I dug that little root cellar, that probably that deep before I hit anything else was just black, friable, nice soil. So I know stuff's going to grow on that. You just got to make the seed look at the ground and it'll sprout. So that's probably my biggest fear, Daniel. Oh, gee, it's just on for situational awareness. Yes, Meredith, exactly. You don't trust. I don't trust what they say, but if something big goes down, they're going to tell you about it, right? It's the opinion and talking points after that is like, jeez. When I am in the woods, I always have either my 9mm or my 40 caliber strapped to my side. When I go in the woods, I've got a very small 40 caliber that is very good for concealed carry around. As far as rifles go, I really like my AR-15, the way it carries and the strap I've got on it. You can just hang it and go. I don't have to think about it. I really like that, but I've got the AK-47, which obviously has a bigger punch, so, and it's a little bit heavier. I'm not sure why, because I put a lot of plastic on it. Took the wood off and put plastic on it. But anyway, it's a heavier gun. So as far as a good brush, getting through the brush and being able to bring down a deer and stuff, that little AR-15 is just fine. Now, if I have to go out there and defend myself, I would probably much rather have the AK. And I got plenty of rounds for all of them. Which is more critically plausible? Yellowstone, North Korean War, Trump assassination, or Civil War? Well, let's put it this way. Yellowstone is a natural thing. Scientists are telling you how, what the possibilities are. And so let's put it this way. Yellowstone's going to happen sooner or way later. But in our lifetime, North Korea seems like a very close plausibility, because you can see that rhetoric escalating. If somebody assassinates Trump, I think civil war is probably what's going to happen. I mean, that would be crazy. So I think those that would orchestrate such a thing, as evil and diabolical as they are, still know that it would probably be a very crazy thing to do. I mean, it would be complete chaos, and it probably would not be in their favor. So I'm thinking North Korea, it'd probably be your best bet right now, and that's just, you know, critically thinking through all of the possibilities. I still think that there are forces out there that are really working to try to bring down our economy, bring down the dollar, and make that a problem. The PWCJ, hello. So I don't know, Skylar, what do you think? News says Tuesday, a Korean public holiday, and we all know how much Kim Jong Un likes to let off rockets on holidays. Yeah, but if he's missing, he's not going to be letting them off, is he? Okay, Daniel, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it, and I'm going to try to do more of these, so when you can, show up. Thanks, Daniel. Like I said, everybody, Daniel is probably one of the most prolific commenters for me, along with a few others, but I always seem to get comments from him. And I believe the PWCJ has been doing so as well, and there's probably a few others. I'll get Brad will also, or I should say BC Truck. I can take the constant thrum of news anymore. Yeah, I understand that, BC Truck. By the way, hello. I didn't say anything earlier, but if you're still there, hello. And Kirky, Chris, Jody. Yes, and Jody's comes around quite a bit. Meredith. And just scanning through all the commenters to see who I get a lot of stuff from. But any more questions? I mean, we can go on a little bit longer, or I can close it up. I hope that Kirky has one here. All platforms, Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. Okay, so yeah, I have an Xbox and PC, which I do games on both. The machine that this is streaming to you from right now is my PC that I play on. It's the big beast machine that I built. I've built this one. It's not as big as this one, and I have one over there that's fairly beasty too, but it's actually got a card in it that I can run the Xbox through and then out to the TV. So that one really over there is all gaming. Okay, let me make sure I get everybody seen here. And Kirky says, speaking of Yellowstone, since June 12th, there have been at least 1,500 earthquakes on the western edge of the park. Yes, they have a term for that, and I talked about it before, but I can't think of what the term is. It's like a bundle of earthquakes or something like that. Somebody could probably explain it. But this particular one, or nesting of them, has been a little more excitable than in previous history. So that's why a lot of this Yellowstone talk is coming up, because it's looking like it could go, and it would be devastating, really devastating, if it goes like people say. Skylar says, I think we are running out of time for financial collapse before SHTF. Looks like the world is getting a bit nuts super quick. I think after an event, a collapse will naturally occur. Oh yeah, any little thing would cause, any little thing that was not a financial collapse would cause that financial collapse, just because our infrastructure is so fragile. People, you know, you get out on the highway and you see all the trucks moving stuff down the road. You know, water's and electricity's piped into your house. When you have a problem, you can get on the internet and get it fixed or whatever. And people don't realize how fragile that is. And it's like a stool, you know, a three-legged stool. You kick one out and the stool goes over. That's all there is to it. Charlie M asks, as a fellow Tennessean, do you have major concerns about the folks from Memphis or Nashville being the ones to watch out for in case of SHTF? And I'm assuming you mean, would they migrate out of those cities? That's my assumption is what you're saying. Well, Memphis would scare me, except for I'm a long ways away from Memphis. But I've heard a lot of things. I was over there one time, and I went to Graceland, and then after that was done, we left. But I've heard a lot of things about Memphis that is scary, as far as I don't know, it's just, I guess it's just another big city with a lot of big city problems. Nashville obviously has its ilk, but it's how do I want to explain this? The people there are more, Nashville's growing, and there's a lot of tech and a lot of stuff there. So the people there are more working class, you know. I guess you would say white collar more than anything. I mean, obviously there's you know all breadths of life there, but so that could be the good thing. People there, you know, are hard workers, but they're also very removed from reality too. So when reality hits, how would they react, right? So, but I think where I'm at now, I'm a long ways away from having to worry about those particular people. I would probably be more concerned about where's a big city. I may be closer to Birmingham, Alabama, where I'm at. Maybe not. I'd have to look on a map. Let's see. Skylar says, okay, now I'm going to ask a crazy question before I go. Since you are from Tennessee, you've got to tell me, have you had any Bigfoot encounters? Hello. I really want to know. No Bigfoot encounters. I have seen, the worst thing I've seen out of my property was bobcat. Well, bobcat. But he wasn't alive. He was dead in the road. Now, here is the scary thing. What is it? Mountain lions? I think it's mountain lions. They're starting to have sightings of them, and I saw a map of it where it's moving down. But the sightings weren't in my area, but they're around it. So you know they move around. So that was kind of scary. I often wonder, man, if I'm like walking back to the cabin back there, and I'm just all by myself, just walking along there, if I'm not paying attention, something could be, you know, tracking me. Millennial Prepper. How long have you been a prepper, and what made you start? Good question. Oh, how long have I been? Well, I kind of grew up watching people do that kind of stuff, and not really as preppers because, you know, something's going to happen, we need to prepare for it, but because, you know, my parents came from my grandparents who grew up in a time when a lot of the stuff that we do now to prep was just stuff they did to survive. So like the canning and the gardening and stuff like that was just, that's how they survived. So I grew up watching this happen, and also grew up around farms, and I raised my own animals when I was in high school. You know, worked in the logging industry, you know, hunted in the Cascades in Oregon. So I've always kind of just done that stuff, not realizing that it was anything special. When did I wake up to the fact that, wait a minute, this stuff might be really important because something could go down? Was probably, well, when I saw the towers come down, I didn't go there with that, but watching the way it happened, it's like they just came down perfect in their footprints. Just a light kind of went, or a thought kind of went, you know what? That's too perfect. And so that's probably kind of what made my mind start going, paying attention to different things that are going on. And then when we had Obama as a president, and I saw how against everything that my America stood for, that really woke me up to realize that in my country, I was actually very scared, I want to say, concerned about my own president. So that's when I started catching on to this stuff and just got serious about it. So when I realized that I could do YouTube, I thought, well, that's the perfect thing for me to kind of do on YouTube, since I'm already going down that road anyway. So that's how that happened. Let's see. Skyla, I am in Arizona. We are getting more mountain lions here too. I lived there for a little while. Phoenix and Tempe and Cave Creek, Arizona. Would you happen to know where that's at? Just above Scottsdale. I actually really love that desert. It's just trying to live in that environment, as far as politically, and the cost of living there now is just crazy. The old timers called the mountain lions painters when they basically let out a big scream. It sounded like just like a woman screaming in pain. Yes, and I have heard that sitting there at night in the treehouse, and of course, obviously, there's no. I mean, I've got solar, but I'm not up there running, you know, fans and radios and stuff like that. So it's quiet. Well, you know, and I have heard that, and you want to think it's a woman screaming, but I know there's not a woman out there screaming. So I have heard that. You're welcome, Millennial. Thank you. Yes, you are around there. There's a place above Cave Creek where we used to go. What's the pigs that we used to hunt there? I can't think of the name. But somewhere above there was you could walk into like a canyon, and there was like an old Indian camp stuff carved into the side of the mountain where they lived, and it was pretty much untouched. It was kind of cool. Skylar moved back from the UK. Yo, you were there for a while in the UK? Charlie M. We have bears, bobcats, mountain lions, and tons of coyotes here in the Upper Cumberland area. I moved back here from, I'm guessing that's New York, to get a little space from even more critters. Between a 7mm and a 308, I'm okay. Yes, I love the 308. I do love the 308. I had a Ruger 308 with the Mannlicher barrel in a scope. It was just a bolt action, but man, that thing would drop. Whatever you hit with it, it would go down. Foxes scream like that too. Yeah, it could be a fox. Javelinas, yes. I almost bought property East Tennessee. Before I got the property that I have, I looked at 50 acres over there on the side of a mountain. It was actually kind of like the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, and we went up there to look at it, and the guy took us out walking through this. It was a hillside, 50 acres, all wooded, the whole bit. To get in was just a little bumpy kind of logging road thing that you had to actually stop before you could get all the way up to it, and then walk the rest of the way in. But when we got up there, and we were looking around, and my thing was looking for like a place to build a cabin or something. And so I was looking at the ground and all this stuff, and as I started looking, there was bear tracks and there was cat tracks. And I thought, oh boy, I better have a big gun with me when I'm up here at night. But that kind of fell through because there was actually no access to that particular piece of land, and the guy that owned the land that you had to access it through, once he found out that whoever wanted to buy the property up there behind him, he had to give them permission to use that little access road. He said no, and I'm thinking he probably thought in that way he can buy the property. Petroglyphs, yes, exactly. There you go. Thanks, Skyla. Is it the BWCJ? I like my old 762 by 54. SKS. See, my AK is a 762 by 39. I think I had 54. I had an SKS for a while. Is that what? But yes, I do like the 7.62s. It's like I was saying earlier. If I'm out having to defend myself, that's probably the round I'd want. Although they do, and 7.62 and 308s are, you know, pretty much the same thing. Mosin Nugget, yeah. They're now making that a 308 with the AR-15 form factor, which I'd love to get one of those. Lots of money someday, soon. All right. Let's see. I hope I've answered everybody's questions. Let me go back here really quick and see. Yeah, BC, I hope you didn't run off, because I did miss your comment. I did catch it later though. But here's the go forward from today. Friday, I go and do the closing, and then I'm done with having to drive that far, unless I go visit the best neighbors in the world, which was Rachel, who was on here, and her husband Brian. And you've seen him in a couple of the videos if you've watched all of my videos along the way. But so once that happens, I think when I come back, I'll be back, you know, Friday evening, and then maybe Saturday and Sunday I will head out to the land and do some stuff. That is my hope. That is my hope. And I've got a couple different topics that I want to talk about anyways, so through this week I'll have some other stuff that I will upload. Am I near reactors? There's one just on the other side of the border in Alabama. It's not too far, but it's not like I'm close to it, but I'm close enough that it would probably be an issue if something happened to it. Did you plan for Tradewinds when picking a property? No, not really. But the good thing about that, I mean, it could be good and bad, but as far as wins go, I'm kind of down in a hollow, and I'm down in the bottom there. The property, you know, was like this. And I do most of my stuff down there. The only problem there, of course, if something comes through and knocks down trees, you better be able to run for your life. And I have a Chinese SKS that uses AK-47 magazine. Interesting. I know you had the SKS I had. You had to have specific magazines that went with it. So that's interesting. My sister had a Chinese SKS. I think it was Chinese. Now this gun was a semi-automatic, but something was wrong with it, and there was times when she would pull that trigger and let go, and it would keep firing, and all she could do is sit and wait for that stupid thing to run out. So it didn't take long until she got rid of it. All right, thank you, Skyla. We will talk to you later. Thanks for stopping by, and thanks for all the questions. But yeah, that I can remember her. One time we were at a gun range, and that thing went. She pulled the trigger on it, and it just kept going. We all turned and looked at her like, "What?" And she just had this petrified look on her face until it was done. And I don't know if she's ever shot that gun after that. I know she got rid of it, but there was something wrong with it, and she even let off the trigger, and it just kept going. So, well, thank you very much, Skyla. Very much appreciated. Got $5 through Super Chat. Thank you very much. All right, guys. Any more questions? Let's see. Did I finish my go forward from here? We're doing the got some topics I'm going to talk about. I think you can mod the Mosin to use an AK mag. That would be interesting. I haven't looked into that. Of course, I don't own a Mosin right now, but I've thought about it. I got to get all my reloading stuff up and going. I've got it all out here in boxes ready to go, and I've got tons of brass to get loaded. So that's something else. But let's see. Let's finish the go forward here. Got topics I'm going to be talking about this week, and then Friday we do the close, which Saturday, hopefully Saturday and Sunday, or one or the other, or both, will put me on the land. I got some stuff that I want to get done out there, and then the next week. All right, PW, thank you. Talk to you later. But then the next week should be more settled and everything going for me. So I will get back into heavy editing and all kinds of fun stuff. All right, everybody. I do appreciate everybody coming around. And once again, Skylet, if you're here or not, I don't know. But thanks for the Super Chat. Much appreciated. I will talk to everybody later. Bye-bye.